This video is brought to you by who cares? We got a new opening, everyone. Woo! Time for Alicization Uniting indeed. With the episode 21 of Sword Art Online Alicization, the title card changed once more and actually respected the ending of the Human Realm arc by featuring Alicization Uniting title card. But that wasn't the only change. Pretty much all the visuals were enhanced with additional effects or crossed with scenes that heavily symbolize where the journey is going towards, and even full-blown new scenes focusing on the remaining 3 episodes. So without further ado, welcome everyone, it's me Gamerturk, and this is your most accurate source of Sword Art Online information, Alicization Explained, featuring the 3rd opening for Sword Art Online Alicization. As always, timestamps to individual points are in the description as well as the pinned comment for easy navigation, but tread carefully beyond this point as the opening explicitly features future events of the remaining episodes of the 2nd cour, and while I'll be vague in general, it will still be a talk about the future events. So if you don't want spoilers, this is where you leave, and I'd love to see you back during episode explained where there won't be future spoilers tomorrow. Final note before we begin, if you want to read the books for yourself for the amazing experience, Amazon and Book Depository affiliate links are in the description and the knowledge of Stacia awaits you there. And to add, my current giveaway featuring the first 2 volumes of the Sword Art Online Girls Op spin-off manga can be found in the description and the pinned comment as well, so do check it out for a chance to win. But the 3rd opening begins quite similarly to the 2nd one, but in the background we see an active floodlight in red fading into complete white as if it was being freed or enlightened as Alice Synthesis 30 appears. However, while the quote-unquote enlightening mention works for Synthesis 30, being freed interpretation is much more for the person you see in the reflection than it is about any of the 3 heroes in this still shot. You can see Synthesis 30 Alice being mirrored by the little Alice Zuberg looking towards the same white void. This visualization ties in heavily with Kirito's unwillingness to sacrifice Alice Synthesis 30 to bring back Alice Zuberg, and the symbolism here hints significantly towards their solution to this problem: how to free both Alices. But suddenly both Alices got cut off by the currently active floodlight as we zoom into Kirito's eyes, and the active floodlight disappears into an empty void. Unlike the incarnation light effects in the 2nd opening, there's a reason why this version is so visually quiet in its title card, let's say. No bright lights as Alicization Uniting, the title of Sword Art Online Volume 14, appears in full red, and aside from the subtle red flashes of very minor floodlight activity, there is absolutely nothing there, hinting at the very end of this 1st arc. Next up, we get the improved visuals of the emotional status of Eugeo and Alice. This is actually very similar to the intro card I use in my explained videos. Looks really cool actually, that's why I use it. But anyways, we see 2 layers of Eugeo here. One with his eyes constantly closed in the back, signifying his time as an Integrity Knight, and the one slowly opening his eyes as he learns more and more about the world, just like the original version, highlighting his will to make his own decisions. But the fact that 2nd Eugeo with closed eyes is added to the background here, it adds a significant meaning to the drowning visual that comes right afterwards. The cut before already showcases Eugeo opening his eyes from his Integrity Knight status, willing to make his own choices, but the drowning visual highlights where these decisions are taking him towards. Another turmoil, however, the way this is portrayed is much more clean compared to the 1st OP. In the 1st opening, with the more yellowish colors used, it came off as more rash, panicky. However, here we see Eugeo is somewhat hurt, but the scene does not look desperate at all. It looks extremely calm and peaceful, portrayed by the respective color of calmness and peace, blue. The scene with Alice plays out exactly the same with the added effects, but we get certain scenes flashing on the screen that you'll miss if you blink, or rather you'll miss unless you're literally scouring through the opening frame by frame. We see Alice reaching up to the bird and standing in a white oblivion just like the opening shot, cutting into Synthesis 30 in the same pose with some more Alice trapped in the void visuals added in. Up next, we see the same scene from the previous opening with Kirito tanking the blow while Eugeo stands tall, and for more information on these visuals you can always check my opening 2 explained, as it highlights their mentality throughout the entire journey. But we also see Quinella rising from the pool of blood, pulled earlier here into the OP to make space for the brand new visuals for this one. We get to see the same bird on the ceiling where Alice's memory fragment is, as shown back in episode 19, and we cut to the second major battle in Quinella's room, the Sword Golem. In the previous OP, we had seen Quinella's pool of blood surrounded by various swords. Some creators, who only try to clickbait and deceive you because they don't have any knowledge, claim these were swords of the Integrity Knights. However, I was putting enough effort to respect your trust, your welcome, and corrected these mistakes, suggesting that these swords had one major purpose. They were not really weapons on their own per se to be used by others, but rather parts of Quinella's ultimate weapon. The weapon she crafted with the blood of Underworldians and the memories of her Integrity Knights. And well, in this opening we see that ultimate weapon Quinella created against the upcoming invasion from the Dark Territory being called upon prematurely for a test run against Kirito and Alice. In fact, you can already see the parts hidden as decorative material in the room as early as episode 19. Eugeo as well as Kirito assume they are just decorations in general, but as you can see from the opening, that is one very dangerous decoration there. When Alice lunges towards the golem, we see her with no eye patch, but let me clear up the confusion. Chances are these new scenes for the opening were animated quite a long time ago and they just didn't know if they should include the patch or not. For a long time, Alice will be with the eye patch. But next, it is Kirito who draws the black one, soon to finally get its official name from another character, looking at the calm and starry night sky. But before that happens, Kirito has to clash his sword with Quinella, who had her clothes burnt out due to a sacred arts explosion earlier, which the anime did not showcase them as being burnt out in episode 21, but I digress. But here, Quinella is actively using a rapier, much like her battle against Cardinal back in episode 13. I highlighted this back in my episode 13 explained video that the existence of the rapier was a significant tease hidden in plain sight, and this is partially why. While it is Quinella's personal choice of weaponry, it also showcases that Underworld is not limited to just simple longswords, and that there are many other sword types within the world that can utilize their own unique skills, some of which you will recognize from the past and some of which will surprise you. And you will see a variety of weapon types soon as well. But up next, we got the Eugeo reaching out, and while I believe the Blue Rose Sword overlay works much better when you know what happens in future episodes, the childhood memories fit perfectly well too, as the memories of his past are key to what Eugeo is attempting to achieve by reaching out to the light. But next, we get to see Kirito shouting his lungs out, and while I provided one in-depth explanation for this moment in my opening 2 explained, let me provide you the other perspective, since we are already so close to the end and some things that were heavy spoilers a couple episodes ago are no longer spoilers. We see everything here as flashbacks with improved visuals, of course, making them much more clear for us to see. Literally all the events of the tower adventure flash on screen, with Eugeo and Blue Roses bleeding and turning them into red roses, Cardinal turning his back, Eugeo lifting his hand to the night sky that Foxen hilariously assumed it could have been Alice as well, because he didn't read the books and doesn't mind sharing so hilariously obvious mistakes, followed by Alice sharing one last smile. All of this being flashed on screen makes me speculate that this is showcasing the final scene of episode 24, our final scene before the mid-season break, with Kirito shouting his lungs out towards Higa Takeru and the mastermind behind the project, Kikoka Seijiro, with all the hatred, disgust and guilt he can muster up after the devastating and heartbreaking events of this final showdown, which is topped off with an enhanced visual of the final handshake. Eugeo heading towards the peaceful light as it engulfs him, and Kirito heading towards the dark void as a result of his heavy emotional outburst towards Wrath in his final moments, plunging into absolute nothingness. But once again, we end the opening with the visual of the Blue Rose Sword, blue as the coldest ice, and the black one, dark as the night sky, back in Rulid, right next to the cut down Giga Cedar. But this brings us to the end of Alicization Opening 3 Explained. If you made it this far, I want you to answer one single question. Which moment in the opening are you looking forward to the most? If you feel like being more in depth with your answer than what I have provided in the video, please make sure to use spoiler warnings to keep people safe from extensive spoilers. You know, you're not on the channel of Foxen Anime, who got shunned from various communities for shamelessly and uncontrollably spreading spoilers. We don't want that happening here. We want to be respectful to all kinds of audiences. And if you liked any of the non-anime visuals I used in this video, unlike him, I actually do provide sources for the images instead of just outright stealing them, so go ahead and show some love to the artists mentioned in the description. They deserve all your love. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and a huge thanks to my patrons as usual. Make sure to like and subscribe for more on Sword Art Online, and if you want to support my channel, you can click that join button on YouTube to become a channel member or support me on Patreon for additional benefits. I'll see you tomorrow with episode 21 explained. Stay cool.